Saturday, October 24th, 2009 is just any other day to most of us, but in the city of Richmond, California, and especially to one 16-year-old girl, it was a night of horror. Hello, my name is Sean, and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I try to do true crime or other things that I find interesting. If you're returning, then welcome back. With the true crime, I really want to focus on the victims because there are a lot of victims out there. If you're not subscribed, please do so. It's free. I appreciate each and every one of you. And if you have any ideas for future true crimes, please feel free to leave me a message. So, with that out of the way, on with today's true crime. Hey, editing Sean here. I just wanted to say, I forgot to mention, when I filmed everything, that next week I'm going to do a little something Christmassy because I'm going to go with the myth or mystery part of my show, and it's not going to be true crime, but it'll be something Christmassy. So please stay tuned and enjoy. Back to the story. I do want to start off by saying that today's true crime is triggering. So this is your trigger warning. Um, I do talk about assaults of the sexual kind and the R word that goes along with it. I know YouTube won't let me say those words, which makes it harder to talk about, but I really think that it needs to be out there in the public more. So, if you brush it under the carpet and nobody knows about it, it's like the quote, those who do not remember the past are condemned to repeat it. I don't know. It's it's something that needs to be known. So, all this violence and stuff is against a female that happens to be 16 at the time of when this happened. I try to tiptoe around this subject as much as I can to help survivors not be triggered by the subject matter, but it's disturbing nonetheless. Um, so let's just get on with the story and hopefully I do it right. On the 24th of October 2009, the Richmond High School was celebrating its homecoming, and like most high schools, they had a dance in the gymnasium after the big game. Around 9:30 that evening, 16-year-old Jane Doe, uh, gonna use her name like that to protect her privacy, and in all actuality, they have never released her name to the public sector, so that's a good thing. Um, she was excited for the dance and she went to it. And around 9:30, she exited the dance and went out into the courtyard and met with a group of people drinking. You would think that the school would pay better attention to that stuff. So I do blame the school in that aspect since they were still on school property. The group of men were ages 15 up until their 40s. She was propositioned for sex, but she refused. But no was not the answer that they wanted to hear from her, and she was placed on a concrete bench and beaten. They also took turns assaulting her in the worst ways possible, sometimes even with foreign objects. Um, and this went on for about 2.5 hours. Jane went in and out of consciousness throughout the whole thing. They were beating her, kicking her. They were even pouring alcohol down her throat to make her more willing. A local resident heard of the attack from her boyfriend and contacted police. Now, the boyfriend witnessed it and he walked home, which was like 2 or 3 blocks where his girlfriend lived, and told her what was going on. And then she called the police. He didn't think about in that 2 or 3 block time frame, call the police or rushed or anything like that. It was just like a nonchalant, hey, there's some girl getting back at the school. So when the police showed up, they found her under a picnic table and was airlifted to a hospital in critical condition. So not even using an ambulance, they actually just used a helicopter to fly her there. Her blood alcohol level was close to fatal. As many as 20 people witnessed this attack, but no one notified the police. It was believed that some people actually recorded the attack with mobile phones, but police have never been able to locate them or any evidence to use. One witness stated that the assailants were kicking her in the head and beating her. They robbed her and ripped her clothing off. She continued saying that it was something that she could not get out of her mind. She saw people dehumanizing her and saw some pretty crazy stuff. She said that Jane Doe was pretty quiet and she thought that she might even be dead until she saw her moving. She felt like she could have done something, but did not have or did not want to be responsible for anything that happened. Um, in the situation like this, I mean, she needed to just call the police. My main goal for this and most true crimes is to remember the victim, but her name is Jane Doe in this. So it makes it hard to remember who she is. But if she watches this, I do want her to know that, my heart goes out to you. And that being said, I'm not going to name any of the assailants because I don't want to give them any credit. I don't want to give them any time for this bullshit that they did. They can rot in hell for all I care. And I will say what they got in trouble for or how long they got sentenced, but I'm not going to say any of their names to give them the credit. So 7 male suspects were arrested, but one was released due to lack of evidence. He said that he helped the victim by giving her a shirt and didn't want to be a snitch by calling the police because he didn't want any retaliation from the other guys. So they dropped charges against him. I don't know. I think they should have still busted him, but so in the end, 6 defendants went to court. 4 of them pleaded guilty and, did the right thing and said, yeah, we did it. We're sorry. Even though they're not sorry, but at least they admitted to it. The other 2 had actually had to go to trial and they were also convicted. The 4 that pled guilty, one of them got sentenced to 32 years in prison. Another was sentenced to 27 years in prison. And the last 2 were sentenced to 6 and 3 years in prison after pleading to lesser charges. The 2 that went to trial were convicted and sentenced to 33 years and 29 years. And, I don't want to give these sacks of crap any credit, so I'm not going to name them. But I do want to say one thing. There was a 47-year-old that was sentenced. The 47-year-old, what the hell was he doing at homecoming dance for students? It kind of reminds me of like Dazed and Confused, where Matthew McConaughey's character is well into his 20s, still hanging out at high school parties. It's like, Sickening. So he was ordered to be a registered sex offender for the rest of his life. Okay. He had to pay more than $15,000 in restitution. Yeah, well, okay. And he had to stay away from the victim for the next 10 years. Really? Stay away from her for 10 years. How about just stay away from her for the rest of his life? I mean, seriously, courts, what the hell? The other assholes were 21, 19, 17, 16, and 15. Yeah, but of course they had to have the 47-year-old there to hang out. Jane Doe's dad made some statements to the news, but like his daughter, his name is private also. He stated that one of the first things that indicated something was wrong was that he got a call that night from her cell phone, but it wasn't her. The male voice on the phone was telling him how great sex with his girl was. At first, he thought it was just a prank, but an hour later, he found out it was not. He just envisioned the horror that happened to his daughter. He said that his daughter was so excited to go to this dance. He bought her a sparkling lavender dress. She was so proud to wear it. And as they took her to the hospital, he was there and told her that he loved her very much, but he could tell that she was unconscious and couldn't respond back. In January of 2011, so a little over 2 years, or about, yeah, 2 years later, the victim was awarded $4 million in a monetary settlement from the school district. Still seems a little too little for what she endured. The immediate payout was 2.5 million, and the remaining 1.5 million is to be paid out over the next 40 years. I really hope she makes good use of the school's small fine, I guess. I don't know. I can't imagine what she went through. Those sick bastards destroyed this young girl's life for what? Their own jollies. I mean, what goes through these freaks' heads thinking that one, it's okay, two, it's a good time. I mean, I don't give two shits about them. I hope that they rot in hell, and I hope what they say that happens to rapists in prison is true. I really hope that she can mentally recover from this, but I'm sure she'll never be 100%. I'm so sorry, Jane, for what you went through, and I know my apathy is probably no help, but it's bullshit. Thank you for watching. If you're not subscribed, please do so. I will see you next week. Be good to yourself, be good to others. I love you all. Goodbye.